Psychology and Success Institute. Actionable information that makes a difference.
Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, introduced the concept of the shadow self as part of his theory of the psyche. Simply put, the shadow self is the part of our personality that we repress or deny because it doesn't align with our conscious self-image. Think of it like this: we all have a public persona that we present to the world, but there's also a private side of us that we keep hidden away. The shadow self is made up of all the parts of ourselves that we don't want to acknowledge or accept. It's the stuff that makes us feel uncomfortable, like our insecurities, fears, and negative traits. Now, before you start freaking out about having a dark, evil side lurking within, know that the shadow self isn't necessarily bad. In fact, it can be incredibly valuable to get to know this part of yourself. By understanding and integrating the aspects of the shadow self, you can gain a deeper understanding of yourself and improve your relationships with others. So, how do you discover your shadow self? Here are a few tips. Take a good, hard look at yourself. Be honest with yourself about your flaws, fears, and insecurities. Don't sugarcoat it or try to rationalize it away. Pay attention to your reactions to others. Notice when you feel triggered or defensive, and take a moment to reflect on what might be causing those feelings. Keep a journal. Write down your thoughts and feelings, especially when you're feeling down or upset. You might be surprised at what comes up. Work with a therapist or counselor. They can help you explore and understand your shadow self in a safe and supportive environment. It's important to remember that the goal isn't to get rid of the shadow self, but to integrate it into your personality. This can be a difficult and ongoing process, but it's worth the effort. By embracing all aspects of yourself, good and bad, you can become more whole and authentic. And that, my friends, is a truly beautiful thing. So, don't be afraid to dive into the depths of your shadow self. You might just be surprised at what you find. And remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being true to yourself. One example of a historical figure who successfully integrated their shadow self is Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln is widely considered one of the greatest American presidents, but he also had a dark side. He struggled with depression and self-doubt throughout his life, and he even had a history of suicidal thoughts. Despite these struggles, Lincoln was able to face and integrate his shadow self. He acknowledged his own weaknesses and used them to his advantage, channeling his deep empathy and understanding of human nature into his leadership and speeches. He was able to use his depression as a tool to understand the pain of others and to drive him to take action to end slavery and preserve the Union. In contrast, a historical figure whose shadow self caused them failure is Adolf Hitler. Hitler's shadow self was made up of his intense feelings of inferiority, anger, and resentment. He had a deep-seated belief in the racial superiority of the Aryan people and an intense hatred of Jews, which led to the Holocaust and the deaths of millions of innocent people. Hitler's shadow self consumed him and he was unable to integrate it. He used his power and influence to propagate his hate-filled ideology and to commit horrific acts of violence against those he deemed inferior. His inability to integrate his shadow self led to his downfall and one of the most tragic events in human history. These examples show how a leader who was able to integrate their shadow self, like Lincoln, was able to achieve great success and make a positive impact on history, while a leader who was unable to integrate their shadow self, like Hitler, caused immense harm and failure. A more modern example of a leader whose shadow self caused them failure is former Enron CEO, Jeff Skilling. Skilling was once a highly respected business leader, known for his intelligence and innovation in the energy sector. However, his shadow self of greed, arrogance, and deceit eventually caught up with him. Skilling was part of a corporate culture at Enron that was focused on profits above all else, and he was known for his ruthless tactics and willingness to bend the rules to get ahead. He and other executives at the company cooked the books, hiding massive debt and artificially inflating the company's stock price to maintain the illusion of success. Skilling's inability to integrate his shadow self led to his downfall when the truth about Enron's financial situation was finally revealed. The company's collapse caused widespread financial harm to thousands of employees and investors, and Skilling was eventually convicted of securities fraud and sentenced to prison. This example highlights how a leader's shadow self, if left unchecked, can lead to unethical behavior and ultimately to failure. Skilling's greed and arrogance caused him to compromise his values and engage in illegal activity, which led to his downfall and a tarnished reputation.
If you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and share.